Hey, sports fans, welcome to another episode of EBC Sports International. My name is Michael Hudson. I'm your host in today's episode, coming from you in Seattle, Washington. So like every show, your host is joined by a handful of fellow sports enthusiasts, and we'll kick off the introductions by first introducing from Alexandria, Virginia, EJ Gonzalez. How you doing tonight, E?
What up, Mike? I'm doing well, man. Thanks. And watching preseason right now, so that means 2 weeks till NFL season, baby.
Yes, I love the sound of that. Next, we have from Toronto, Canada, my fellow 12th man, Albert Say. How you doing tonight, man?
What's up, Mike? The NBA schedule has just been released, which means it's just around the corner. Ready to talk some sports? Let's do this, baby.
Yes. And also from Quezon City, I'd like to introduce to everybody Ben Bernaldez.
Welcome to the program, guys. Nice to be back. And for all the golfers out there, Mike, EJ, good news for you guys. Yuka Saso making back-to-back birdies at the AIG Women's British Open and keeping her pace with the leaders as she fired a 100 par 71 in the second round to stay inside the top 5. Let's go, Yuka.
Yes, I love it.
Go.
I remember seeing that this morning, so super pumped for that. And last but not least, want to introduce a special guest who's joining us tonight, especially in our boxing portion, discussing Manny Pacquiao's fight. Joining us from Quezon City, Philippines, is Dennis Persepe. How you doing, Dennis?
Yes, Mike. The rest of the guys, my pleasure joining you, and let's have fun.
Let's do it. I love the sound of that. So before we get started, we just want to remind everybody that we're just sports fans who love all things sports, so we're by no means experts, even though we think we are. Just kidding. But before we dive into our main topics for this week's show, some of our panelists have some sports updates from this past week. So first, we have some NBA news, most specifically about the best player on the planet, Kevin Durant. EJ, what do you have for us?
Yeah, Mike. So 2 days ago, Bleacher Report posted a video where Kevin Durant was interviewed by his former teammate, Draymond Green. And in over 2 days, the video already recorded over 2.6 million views, where the two players discussed many different topics, including Durant reflecting on his high school days, his Twitter burner accounts, and much more. But the part that drew the most interest was arguably the section where Draymond and KD reflected on their on-court argument from November 2018. Now, Draymond received a 1-game suspension after that altercation, and many feel like he was the reason that KD ended up leaving the Warriors. So Draymond said, in his opinion, KD was already checked out after year 2 with Golden State. And the reason he left, or the reason he felt KD stayed, was for the opportunity to three-peat because they had just won their second championship, right? But Draymond said he continues to receive criticism since KD left. So for Draymond's own sanity, he asked whether or not it was his fault for KD leaving the Warriors, and Durant had an interesting response. Durant said that it wasn't the altercation that caused him to leave, rather the way the management and team leadership, like Steve Kerr and the GM, handled the situation and acted like it never happened. KD referenced the Last Dance documentary and said that there was a part there where the team had voiced their frustrations with each other to help move on from the awkward situation. He was waiting for a situation like that to happen between Draymond and the team, but instead, Durant felt like the management made it seem like it wasn't a big deal and portrayed to the public that everything was fine, which wasn't the case in KD's eyes. But nevertheless, KD is looking to find success now with the Brooklyn Nets alongside Kyrie Irving and James Harden this upcoming season. Back to you, Mike.
Thanks for the update, E. So now staying with the NBA, Albert has a story for us relating to the Summer League. Albert, what do you have for us?
Yeah, Mike, the 2021 NBA Summer League finally wrapped up this past week with the Sacramento Kings becoming the first team in NBA history, I didn't know this, to win multiple Summer League championships after defeating the Boston Celtics in a 100-67 final. Louis King, who was a two-way player for the Kings, was named NBA Summer League Championship MVP after scoring 21 points, going along with 3 rebounds and 5 steals. The highly touted number 9 draft pick, Davion Mitchell, aka Off Night, was a standout defensively in the championship game as his on-ball defense limited much of Boston Celtics' backcourt. Most notably, Peyton Pritchard, who was averaging 20 points on 51% shooting for the Celtics, only managed to score 4 points to go along with 4 turnovers, leading to, you guessed it, an off night. The Celtics' Carson Edwards led the way for the Boston Celtics with 15 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, a steal, and a block. The Celtics went into the Summer League Championship game undefeated and won their Summer League games by an average of 21 points. But ultimately, it was the defense that would be the difference, as the Kings would outscore the Celtics 38-4 in points off turnovers. The Kings' Emmanuel Terry and Lewis King both had 5 steals each, as the Celtics were forced into 28 turnovers in the night. With the Las Vegas Summer League wrapping up, we now turn the page to the 2021-22 season with the announcement of the NBA schedule. It's the hope of many franchises that the success of the young talent in the Summer League will eventually lead to the development of key players in their quest for an NBA championship. Back to you, Mike.
Thanks, Albert. Really appreciate it. So now we change gears a little bit and go to the Philippines, and Ben has a story for us concerning figure skater Michael Martinez. Ben.
That's right, Mike. Filipino figure skater Christian Martinez will not be competing in the 2022 Winter Olympics in Beijing, China. This is after the Philippine Skating Union announced that Sofia Frank and Adrian Celestino will be the country's representatives to the Nebelhorn Trophy on September 22 to 25. Only one skater per gender is allowed per country in the Nebelhorn Trophy, which is the final Olympic qualifying event to be held in Germany. Martinez is the first Southeast Asian figure skater to compete in the Winter Olympics, reportedly had to sit out due to injury. He represented the Philippines in the 2014 Sochi Winter Olympics and the 2018 Pyeongchang Winter Games. And we hope for a fast recovery for Michael Martinez. Back to you, Mike.
Thanks, Ben. Appreciate the update. And now let's go to Las Vegas, where our EBC correspondent Valerie Gonzalez was at the UNLV track as Manny Pacquiao continued his training for his upcoming fight against Yordenis Ugas. Let's go take a look.
Good morning, fight fans. We're here at UNLV. As you can see behind me, we have spectators, Team Pacquiao, some other boxers, and the trainers of Team Pacquiao ready for Manny's morning run.
I'm here today at the UNLV track and about to run with Manny Pacquiao. Never met him before, and it's be a pleasure to run with him, so I'm excited.
Manny Pacquiao arrived at the track and field of the University of Nevada, Las Vegas, alongside runners and his team for his morning stretching exercises and run of approximately 4 miles. With the Philippines flag carried in plain view as they ran around the track, Pacquiao showed his dedication in his intense training for his upcoming boxing match versus Ugas this Saturday. Enthusiastic fans from across the nation wait for Pacquiao outside the gate to get their memorabilia signed.
Mahal sa ating fighting senator, kailangan po sa araw na yan ay tayo po ay magsama-sama kasama ang buong pamilya, ang buong sambayan ng Pilipinas para po kay Senator Manny Pacquiao, para po sa laban niya. Hindi lang po to laban ni Senator Manny Pacquiao, kundi laban po ng buong Pilipino. Tulungan niyo po kami, mga kababayan. Hindi namin kaya to, kung hindi, kailangan namin ang inyong dasal. Samahan niyo kami sa darating na Sabado sa laban ni Senator Manny Pacquiao.
From Las Vegas, Nevada, Valerie Gonzalez for Eagle News. We live in interesting times.
Thanks so much, Valerie. So that's it for the stories this week. We're going to take a quick break and we will start up our topics with more Manny Pacquiao. EBC Sports International will return in a moment.
Sabi nila, pagka-clown, siyempre kailangan clown ka, umarap ka sa mga tao, masaya ka. Yung problema mo sabay, hindi mo muna pwede dalhin dun sa event. Siyempre, mahalata nila, bakit ang lungkot naman ng clown natin? May problema ka ba? Yung time na walang-wala ka, natuwa ka na dahil, ma'am, meron tayong show bukas. Siyempre, nasa ng asawa mo yun. Pag uwi mo, wala ka naman palang dala, gumastos ka pa, namasahe ka pa. Tapos wala din naman pala. Yun, parang siyempre nakakadismaya. Kasi simula bata kami, siguro sanay na kami yung hirap ng buhay. Tapos nung nakapag-asawa ako, siyempre may mga anak din ako na ayoko naman din lumaki na kinagisnan ko, ganun. Pumasok ang pandemya, talaga sobrang dagok. Talaga grabe yung ginawa sa amin. Tapos sasabihan pa ng sakit ng asawa ko. Ultimo gamot, ma'am. Magkano lang yung gamot? 2, 3. Hindi ko pa mabili. Gusto ko siyang regaluhan. Gusto ko siyang pakainin sa labas. Dati nagagawa ko yun nung hindi pandemic. Ano gusto mo, kain tayo sa labas? Ako pa. Parang regalo ko lang sa kanila. Pero ngayon, ma'am, hindi na nila din tinatanong. Kasi alam naman nila, isasagot ko na wala rin talaga ako. Pasubok lang naman to. Hindi naman siguro ibibigay sa akin to kung hindi ko kaya. Ako yung taong malakas yung loob naman na hindi ako agad sumusuko. Sabi ko nga, lalaban pero hindi susuko. So, malaking tulong na po ito para sa akin at para sa pamilya ko. Sobrang blessing na ibinigay at pinagkaloob niyo po sa amin. Maraming salamat.
Hey, welcome back, sports fans. This is EBC Sports International. Thanks for watching tonight. So in less than 24 hours, Manny Pacquiao will be stepping into the ring once again for another fight, this time against Ugas. And tonight, we have our special boxing analysis, Dennis Precipe, joining us tonight. How you doing tonight, Dennis?
Doing good, Mike. You can probably call me the Prince. That's the English translation of Principe.
Principe, got it. So we will call you Prince. I wish my name was Prince.
You look like a prince, for one.
I appreciate that. So Dennis is going to be giving us a breakdown of the fight. And thanks again, Dennis, for joining us tonight. And just wanted to get your initial thoughts about the upcoming fight.
For a lot of regular boxing fans, it has become an intriguing fight. You know, initially, and even among boxing pundits, people believe that it's actually going to be a fight that will go for Manny, but because of the way things are being written and the way it is being discussed and how it was made, you know, people believe that it has to be intriguing because your Dennis Ugas is a late replacement. Manny Pacquiao has prepared for a southpaw, and then in less than 2 weeks or in 2 weeks' time, he'll be facing a right-handed fighter. So I think we should give, you know, I'm really amazed at how promoters are trying to promote this fight, and it is turning out to be a very interesting fight for all of us.
Yeah, Dennis, you mentioned it earlier. Again, I want to thank you for joining us on the show. I wanted to ask you because you mentioned that this is basically a replacement fight, right? All of us were anticipating that Manny Pacquiao was going to fight Errol Spence Jr. and all of a sudden he got replaced by Ugas. So do you think that Ugas is going to be a legitimate threat to Pacquiao?
I believe so, EJ, because for one, I consider your Dennis Ugas, the Cuban boxer, as a legitimate challenger, a legitimate champion for that. While it has been reported that the WBA title was given to him on a silver platter, or it was handed over to him, I do not really buy that idea because he still fought for the title. Remember when he fought Abel Ramos, his most recent fight before this Manny Pacquiao battle, they fought for the vacant WBA title. So he is a legitimate title. And add to that the background of this fighter, where he's coming from. You know, he's from Cuba, and we know very well the history of Cuban fighters turning pro and campaigning in the United States. It's a communist country. Professional boxing is not allowed in that country. He escaped 6 times from Cuba in trying to cross the borders, and reach the United States. And each and every time he got caught, he got jailed. Okay, he's an only child in his family, and by the seventh time he was able to flee Cuba by getting on a raft, traveled 2 days in reaching Miami via Mexico. So you can see the determination of this guy. So that's one thing that we have to really look out for, how determined Yordenis Ugas will be come fight night against Manny Pacquiao.
Oh yeah, he doesn't.
So Dennis, you mentioned earlier Pacquiao had been scheduled to face Spence, who fights from a southpaw stance. Now he's preparing for a left-hander throughout his training camp. Then he had to adjust on 11 days notice to an opponent who fights from an orthodox or a right-hand stance. Will it be difficult for Pacquiao to adjust to a new opponent like Ugas?
Okay. I've been an analyst for almost 2 decades. I had so much hair when I started, so you can see how long I've been into this business. Okay. So, you know, each and every knowledge that I get, I base it on my interviews with the boxers. Okay. And the one thing that reminded me in talking about that aspect, okay, I had a chat with Jerry Peñalosa, our great iconic world champion. And one time he had a fight against a left-hander. So I told him, hey, Jerry, it seems to be a comfy fight for you because you're southpaw and you're fighting a southpaw. So I think it favors both of you actually. And we expect a really good fight. You know what told me? He said that for a southpaw fighter to fight a fellow southpaw fighter, that's the most difficult thing to have. Okay, why? Because for the most part, most of their sparring partners, we're talking about southpaws, okay? Most of their sparring partners are right-handed, okay? So they spar, for the most part, against right-handed. When they get to, when they need southpaw fighters, if they don't get southpaw spar mates, they ask right-handed fighters to switch stance, okay? So with that in mind, Yordenis Ugas being a right-handed boxer won't be much of a problem for Manny Pacquiao. I think the problem would be for Yordenis Ugas because he'll be fighting a southpaw. Remember, he was preparing for a fight, actually, the same card, and he was preparing for a right-handed fighter. So I think in terms of adjustment, the bulk of adjustment will fall on Yordenis Ugas.
Will this be, because he said in his press conference, I think his fight against Ugas might be his last for his career. Do you believe that this will be Pacquiao's last fight, Sir Dennis?
Might be his last before the elections. Okay. And depending on the results, you know, you have to consider the political aspect, the political career of the senator. He needs this fight, apart from the money, apart from him being relevant, once again, at least as a boxer, he needs this to enhance his image. He knows that politics is about the image. It's about how you present yourself. It's about how to get an advantage against your political rivals. Okay, him winning, he knows the importance of him winning a fight. Okay, that's a big plus for him. Now it depends if this fight ends. If it ends up as a short night favoring Manny Pacquiao, I would expect another fight probably for the senator within the proximity of that campaign period. Probably one fight by December or January. It depends. If it ends up as an easy win for Manny, I actually expect him to get one fight before election period enters the picture.
Gotcha. So one last question before we end, Dennis. So what's your prediction? Manny Pacquiao, is he going to knock him out? What round if he does?
Probably a late round knockout victory for the senator. I expect, we know the senator, Manny Pacquiao is a fast starter. He you know, people sometimes say that, you know, he's like that Energizer bunny, you know. He keeps the same intensity first round onwards up to the last round. Now, you know, the thing that people are really looking at and what they want to really observe is if father time will finally set in. Manny Pacquiao is 42, turning 43. Of course, he is a freak of nature. You cannot compare him with other 40-plus-year-old fighters because, again, he's a freak of nature. So, at least among boxing experts and pundits, the observation really would be, how would Manny maintain his pace? Because they expect him to be the same Manny Pacquiao, the same old Manny Pacquiao, first half of the fight. And the second half of the fight will he be the same old Manny Pacquiao, or an old Manny Pacquiao will finally, crop up? So really, the most intriguing part is how Manny will perform, and will he maintain the same pace, everything, stamina, strength. So it's really that all eyes are on Manny Pacquiao really on this fight.
Man, exciting. Well, I think it's safe to say all of us are rooting for Manny Pacquiao, so we're hoping that he'll take it out. But hey, Dennis, thanks so much for joining us. I really do appreciate it. You're welcome back to the show anytime. Hopefully, we can bring you back on once if Manny gets the victory in this fight.
Anytime, my gentlemen.
Thanks. So
Yes,
we're going to go ahead and move on to our other topic for tonight, which is the NBA. So NBA opening night, the schedule was just released, like what Albert just said. And opening night is going to pin the NBA defending champions Milwaukee Bucks against the Brooklyn Nets. And then the second game of the doubleheader is the Los Angeles Lakers against the Golden State Warriors. So we're going to go ahead and give our initial thoughts on the first game, the Nets versus the Bucks. So Albert, we're first going to start with you. Who has the edge in the Nets versus Bucks matchup?
You got to give the flowers over to the Milwaukee Bucks, but I think the Nets definitely have the edge over the Bucks in the opening game. You got to keep in mind that the big three in KD, James, and Kyrie only played a total of 13 games last season, 8 of which were in the regular season, and the rest obviously in the playoffs. Although the Bucks are coming off their championship season, I've seen this firsthand when the Raptors won as well too. Emotions are going to be running high. The banner is going to be dropping. The players are going to be getting their rings. People are going to be sort of reminiscing about the past season. But in the end of the day, like, there's a basketball game to be played, and you have to face the Brooklyn Nets, who are heavily favored in this 2022 upcoming season. I really like the Nets addition in Patty Mills as well too, in signing Bruce Brown and also James Johnson, who will most likely play the role of PJ Tucker at guarding the best player at times. And speaking of PJ Tucker, he's no longer with the Bucks, who played a huge role in that and defensively against Kevin Durant. So definitely the Brooklyn Nets have the edge over the reigning champs opening night.
Absolutely. And EJ, I wanted to get your thoughts as well. So as far as this game, I know it's the very first game of the season, but whoever wins this game, is it really going to send a message to the other team, or is it just too early to really tell?
No, I think this game, particularly between the Bucks and the Nets, will definitely end up sending a message to the other team, right? I mean, hey, this is the Milwaukee Bucks. It's ring night. We're feeling good. We beat you guys in a full-on game 7. 7-game series. It went up to the last few seconds. It went into overtime, and they edged them out. And I know that the Nets are going to be hungry to make their statement and say, we shouldn't have lost that game. In fact, we are confident enough that if we had beat you guys in that series, we would have went on and got a championship. And so I think this is going to be a huge statement game for the Brooklyn Nets. Again, Albert already touched on it. PJ Tucker's not going to be there. So we're going to need some people to step up from Milwaukee. But I think with Giannis, Chris Middleton, and Jrue Holiday, after winning that first ring, I 100% guarantee a lot of that weight is off of their shoulders. So I think they're going to be playing a lot more free, a lot more fun. And Giannis, man, he's definitely going to want to make another statement and say, look, I got 5 votes as the best player in the NBA by NBA scouts and executives. KD got the other 5. I want to prove that I should have gotten more of those votes. But it's going to be a fun game to watch, man. And I'm counting down the days. 2 months till the NBA openers.
Definitely. And Ben, we have a couple of minutes left here, but what are your thoughts about this opening game? Do you feel that the Bucks have the edge with them being the NBA champions, or do you think the Nets have the edge being at full strength, which I assume they will be on the first game of the season? I believe you're muted, Ben.
Well, it's going to be a tough one for the Bucks, Mike. They're the defending champions, so there's a lot of pressure on their side. To the first game of the opening season is really tough. With the lineup, the Brooklyn Nets now, some of them are healthy, and it's going to be a tough game for both teams. I'm sure the Bucks will give the Nets a hard time. Either way, both of the teams will really fight for the win. But I'm sure the hangover from the from the championship game, the Bucks would really have to win this first game. It's the most important game of the opening season. So I think it's going to be a tough one. But I'm rooting for the Bucks to win this game, this opening day for them.
Totally. I think, man, whoever made the schedule for the NBA opening, I mean, give them a raise, please, because these games are going to be absolutely incredible. I'm really excited to see how Patty Mills is going to fit in with the Nets. I think that's a huge add. That's going to take a lot of the pressure off of Joe Harris. I mean, we saw how evident it was when he hit the bright lights. He just could not hit a shot. I don't know if it was just too big of a moment for him. But we will see what happens. But we're going to take a quick break and talk about the next game of the opening night. So we will return in just a few moments.
Events happen around us all the time, in our community, in our country, around the world. Events that affect people, move communities, or simply inspire us. Interesting events that people need to know. In these interesting times, we continue to be a competent partner in delivering news about these events. Fast, accurate, balanced. Eagle News, because we live in interesting times.
Broadcast journalist Wayne De La Fuente returns on Philippine television and radio to deliver top stories and engage with the country's policymakers, shapers, and movers. Tatalakayin ang mga pangunahing balita live sa teleradyo ng Net25 at Radyo Aguila DCEC 1062. Kasama si Wayne De La Fuente sa
At itong balitalakayan, we live in interesting times.
Hey, sports fans, welcome back to EBC Sports International. I'm Michael Hudson. So now we're going to be talking about our second game in the doubleheader of NBA opening night, which puts LeBron against Steph Curry, Lakers against Golden State. EJ, share us your thoughts on this game.
Oh, man. It's going to be an awesome game, man. It's going to be awesome if everyone's healthy. Of course, obviously, we got to always talk about their health because, like Klay Thompson, we've been waiting and anticipating for this guy to get back on the court, and he is getting healthier. He's been looking in good spirits. I don't know if you guys follow him on Instagram or on social media, but the guy, he's chilling, man. He's just been interacting with fans, enjoying life. But recently, he's posted a video of him back on the court doing work, hitting corner threes. So a lot of Golden State fans, I'm sure, are very excited in him doing this type of stuff. So he himself said that he's slowly but surely getting back to himself, which is good. But there are reports now that say that Klay isn't going to be ready for the season opener. So he's not going to be there. They're anticipating him to be back by the Christmas Day game. So I don't think there's going to be any rush to get him back onto the court, obviously. But if Klay Thompson's not going to be there, that's going to be a huge loss for Golden State. And although the Lakers are very old, they will have more healthy bodies, especially if Klay Thompson's there. Just like last year, Stephen Curry had a phenomenal season. He even received one MVP vote, which was bizarre to me that he got a first place vote as an MVP last year, but they didn't make the playoffs. They got bounced out in the play-in tournament. So it obviously proves that Steph Curry can't do it alone. He can't do it with the current personnel and just Draymond Green alongside him. He needs his fellow Splash brother out there. But if Klay Thompson's not going to be there for the season opener, then it's going to be a cakewalk for the Los Angeles Lakers.
Definitely. Great take, EJ. So, Albert, I wanted to get your take as well. So, do you see kind of the same dynamic? I mean, do you think that the Lakers have something to prove with this game in particular? Like, do you believe they're going to be trying to send a message with this first game?
I think more than anything, the Lakers are going to try to send a message to the media. I mean, the story of the offseason, of course, they fill their roster up with, vet minimums and guys who can, not necessarily ring chase, but guys who are vet minimums that are just trying to, get a role with LeBron. It'll be a big game for them, if albeit with Klay Thompson out, as what EJ said. It'll be a big game if they come on opening night and they smash the Warriors. Again, the storyline of them being old, LeBron even tweeting back and deleting it, and we know whatever gets posted on the internet stays on there forever. It's going to be almost like a old versus young, as we see guys like Moody, Wiseman, and Kuminga, who might not get a lot of playing time, but you can sort of see the direction of these two teams and how opposite they are. It'll be a good homecoming for Andre Iguodala, as again, he's coming back. But for sure, Klay Thompson will be definitely missed in this opening game. But we keep in mind it is just a regular season, and hopefully he can come back healthy and participate in the postseason run.
Totally. So Ben, who do you see as the X factors in this game in particular, opening night?
Well, first of all, Mike, I'd like to thank the NBA who made the schedule for this one, because the Lakers are, of course, the leader in the most nationally televised games, second to the Warriors. It's great for NBA, for who has lots of fan base for both teams. Now, for your question, I think the Warriors have had great picks in this rookie draft. Jonathan Kuminga and Moody. I think Moses Moody is NBA ready, who can really contribute ASAP. And of course, with the in addition of Iguodala, with the leadership, again, we know what he can deliver and provide with the team. But of course, I'm looking for the old Warriors to have that same cohesiveness and be able to play what they did when they won the consecutive championship. And I hope that this will be a great season for both teams. And of course, I'm rooting for the rookies and that really have to step up their game and contribute for the team.
Absolutely. So before we move on to our next topic, we forgot to get predictions from the first game and then this game. So let's start with the Nets and Bucks. What's the final score? Ben, you go first.
I'll go. It's going to be a high-scoring game for the Bucks and Nets. Probably 120 to 130.
Ooh,
Bucks.
Yeah, you have the Bucks. Ooh, man.
Bucks.
Yep.
EJ, how about yourself?
Again, I think just based off of the Bucks having their ring night that night, I think they will be able to edge out the Nets. So I'm gonna say 118-105.
The Nets, 118-105. Got it.
No, Bucks. Bucks winning.
Oh, Bucks. Man, Albert?
I hope you're getting down these receipts. You're writing them down, it looks like. But I'm gonna go for a close game. I mean, we saw it went down to Game 7 in the playoffs. I see this game being really close. I'm gonna go bold and say overtime win for the Nets, 117-115.
Ooh, nice.
Oh, close game.
Well, I say Kevin Durant goes off for 45. Nets win in a blowout, 117-97. Boom. Message sent. All right, next game. EJ, what do you think? Between Warriors and Lakers, what's your final score?
Oh, Lakers gonna smash them, especially with Russ and Bron having those chips on their shoulder. I don't know if you saw Russell Westbrook saying we just want to kick these young guys' butts. So I think they're gonna be out there to make a statement. Gonna be a blowout win. Probably 109 to 89. I don't know, but it's gonna be a blowout, man.
All right. Ben, how about yourself?
I'm gonna go with Lakers too. I think they have to prove something here with Westbrook coming into their team, and it can be a close game depending on how Steph Curry plays and the rest of the Warriors team. I would go 95-98.
Ooh,
Lakers.
Gotcha. And Albert, how about you?
Yeah, I just on EJ's point, I don't think a Stephen Curry-led Warriors team will score 89 points. I just highly doubt that. I too have the Lakers winning. I don't know how the math would go, but I see them winning by 10 to 15 points. It won't be a crazy blowout, but I think they'll win by a significant margin.
Gotcha. I'm gonna go against the grain here because I know how much Ken loves the Lakers, so I'm gonna have to. I'm gonna have to go with the Warriors here. I'll have them win 110-105 in a close one.
It'll have to be a close one if the Warriors win.
Yeah, exactly. All right, thanks for your takes, you guys. So we're gonna shift gears and move on to the NFL. So the NFL season is just 3 weeks away, and it's safe to say all of us are pretty excited for it. And it's also safe to say that the Kansas City Chiefs and the Tampa Bay Bucks, both who represented each conference in the Super Bowl last year, are heavily favored to make it to the big game again against each other. So many experts have even talked about an undefeated season. So Ben, I'm going to start with you on this topic. Who has the better chance of going undefeated this year? Patrick Mahomes' Chiefs or Thomas Edward Patrick Brady's Bucks?
All right, Mike. It's NFL season's great to to be back discussing this. The Chiefs and the Buccaneers seem to be in a tier of their own heading into the new season, and would really be surprised if they face in the Super Bowl for the second time around. I'm sure Mahomes would like to get a revenge from the Buccaneers. We saw how the Buccaneers overpowered and routed the Chiefs last Super Bowl. But both teams now have massive target on their backs coming off a conference championship season, and there are a number of teams who will be coming for their thrones in the 2021-22 season. And of course, looking at their schedule, I think also the Buccaneers would have a big chance of probably a perfect probably get the 17 games on their schedule. And I have checked their schedule, and the first 8 games they will easily win their matchups, and hopefully in the next coming weeks they'll be able to face top opponents. Looking at the easy matchup from week 2, 6, 10, 11, 13, 16, 17, 18, like the Atlanta Falcons, the Eagles, Washington, New York Giants, all of these teams, they can easily win against this team. But there are also going to be some close games also, looking at their schedule. And also some tough matchups would be with LA Rams and the Buffalo Bills. They'll go into the 2021 with an 8-game winning streak. That's what I see basing on their schedule. It's going to be a great schedule for a Super Bowl winning team, and they have retained their lineup for this season. And I think it's going to be, I'm hoping for a Tom Brady MVP season, because a lot of people are excluding Tom Brady in the MVP race. Still, some consider Patrick Mahomes as number 1 contender for this year. And then you have Aaron Rodgers also on the race for the MVP. But I think I want to root for Tom Brady for this season. I know for some, they count out Tom Brady and the Bucks, but we were surprised last season, and I'm hoping for them to get a back-to-back Super Bowl championship this season with their intact lineup.
Ooh, I love the sound of that. Thank you, Ben. So, Albert, I'm taking a look at the schedule now, and Tampa Bay by far has the easier schedule of the two if I had to pick. Are there any games that you feel that are going to be tough for either other team, or, I mean, just lay it down for us and let us know who you think has a better chance of going undefeated?
Although the Bucks, we all know that they did win. I think the Chiefs are going to have that shot at the undefeated season. I think not Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady is in a mental state where he knows that his success is going to be based off what he does in the postseason. Yes, he'll do what he does in the regular season, and that's why I think, you know what, MVP is probably not priority for him. I think he'd much rather have the Super Bowl MVP versus the regular season MVP. So there might be a game or two where, you know what, maybe in his earlier days, if he sort of dug down and willed his team, whereas now he'll probably more look less to preserve his body and ensure that he's got a long run in terms of trying to get another Super Bowl and adding to his 6 rings versus, you know, gutting it out in the regular season where he's trying to go for a perfect season.
Totally. And EJ, I'm gonna have to get your take as well, man. Do you think this is going to be a magical year for Brady or Mahomes? Who do you think has the edge in that category?
Definitely, the edge will definitely go to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Tom Brady, only because if you base it off of the difficulty of their schedule, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, out of the 32 teams, has the 4th easiest schedule out of everyone in the NFL. And coming off a championship run with Tom Brady, I'm pretty sure if his confidence wasn't high last year, it's at an all-time high now. And last year they were able to win the championship, so I think he has the best opportunity to have a magical season and win an MVP. Last year it was a close one between them and the Saints. The Saints edged them out by 1 game to win their division. But with Drew Brees no longer in the picture, I think Tom Brady has a very easy route to win the division this year. And with the 4th easiest schedule in the NFL, he's going to be putting up some big numbers against easy opponents. And I could see him winning MVP regular season, leading them to another Super Bowl championship, and winning MVP once again there. Magical season.
Man, yeah, that's... Woo! Man, I'm excited to see what's going to happen. I mean, both teams are loaded. I mean, it's going to be pretty interesting. But I mean, I look at the Chiefs' schedule and like their first 5 games are against just like playoff teams, basically. So it's going to be a tough path for them. Albert, I had one more question before we take a break. So if let's just say Mahomes goes undefeated, wins the Super Bowl, would you consider him the GOAT if he does that this year?
As far as my math is concerned, it's simple. If he does get his first, championship, kudos to him. But 6 is better than 1, right? So the GOAT, Tom Brady. Like we throw around GOAT too many times. It's too many. Like Mahomes would need a lot more. Yes, he's accomplished a lot, but he needs a lot more to do just in terms of being considered a GOAT.
Got it. Okay. Well, hey, amazing takes, everybody. Really do appreciate it. And we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to talk about Joel Embiid's massive contract extension. See you in a moment.
Sa pagpasok ng Delta variant dito sa Pilipinas, tumataas ang kaso ng COVID-19 araw-araw. Government restrictions like ECQ and now MECQ are put in place to prevent further infections. Ito ay nakakaapekto sa mga small business owners dahil limitado ang paggalaw ng mga tao. In this episode, we'll find out how the owners of an auto dealership are adapting to the changing times. Tatalakayin natin ito kasama ang ating mga bisitang sina IQ at Ia Prado mula sa EMC Prado Auto Inc.
Every day we still learn. every day we try to innovate. We try to pivot small to the left, small to the right, to be able to press the right buttons.
Don't be afraid to invest at this time, and always look at the customer.
All these in this episode of Open for Business.
Hey, sports fans, welcome back to EBC Sports International. So we're going back to the NBA. Philadelphia 76ers All-Star center Joel Embiid signed a lucrative Supermax 4-year extension worth $196 million. So EJ, what does this mean for the 76ers chances on winning their first NBA title since 1983?
Well, it's not about Joel Embiid. Congratulations on the huge contract. It is still less than Luka Doncic and Trae Young, which is crazy to me that these guys got paid more than Joel Embiid, who stuck it out through many, many seasons and trusted the process with the Sixers. But obviously, it proves that the Sixers are all in to surround Joel Embiid as the cornerstone of their franchise rather than Ben Simmons. And there's still been so much talk about Ben Simmons. Still don't know where he's going to go, but Ben Simmons is under the impression that he will be moved and will not be playing with the 76ers in the upcoming season. So as much as there's a congratulatory celebration for Joel Embiid in signing this huge contract, it doesn't improve their chances of winning a championship if Ben Simmons ends up leaving, or if it depends if they get a good package for Ben Simmons. But they have been very greedy in trying to get a bundle of assets for him. So I don't know. I don't think I do think that they are a competitor for a championship, especially out of the East. Definitely top 3 in my opinion, aside from obviously the Milwaukee Bucks and the Brooklyn Nets, overshadowing them there. But I think they do have a legitimate chance if Joel Embiid and the rest of the guys are healthy. And if Ben Simmons does stay, I still think he's a great caliber player that can do a lot on the floor for them. And I do think that they complement each other together, especially since they've been playing together for a lot of the last few seasons. But they got some ballers over there, man. I like Matisse Thybulle. I like Danny Green, Seth Curry, and again, they picked up Andre Drummond, which is crazy to me. But they also have some great guys off the bench in Shake Milton and Maxey. So they're a very deep team, the Philadelphia 76ers, so they will be contending out of the East for a championship this season.
Totally. I'm just wondering if Embiid made the right move to. I mean,
yeah.
I know he seems like he strikes me as a loyal person, but I know at the end of the day he wants to win. I know it's hard to say no to $200 million, but Albert,
that's what it is, man.
Yeah, that money talks, right? Albert, do you think he made the right move of staying, or do you think he should? You think he should demand a trade, or what are your thoughts?
In a superstar sort of driven league where like real superstars have the ability to ask for trades and they'll get it, I think Joel would be in that sort of tier and echelon. It's tough, the fact that his relationship with Ben Simmons, I don't know if they're talking. It sounds like Ben isn't even talking to anyone from the Sixers brass. It's tough. Imagine playing with someone who post immediately right after the game, he threw shots at him indirectly and saying, I think we lost the game when someone couldn't make a dunk or something. So
pass up a layup.
Pass up a layup. Yeah, that's what it is. He's locked himself up, and it's sort of like a situation with Damian Lillard, right? Prime example. He stuck with his team. He was loyal. The teams tried to build around him with not much success. I mean, he's barely getting out of the second round. And same with the 76ers, them losing to the Raptors, getting swept by the Celtics, and then even this year against the Hawks, who they were heavily favored against the Hawks, aside from the meltdown from the free throw line from Ben Simmons. So money, like you guys said, money talks. But term also talks as well to him being locked up for this long. I can see in a couple of years the team not having success, the relationship with Embiid and everyone else being sour, and him, asking for a trade like many other stars who are disgruntled around the league.
Totally. And Ben, so what do you think this signing will do for Philadelphia? Are they going to remain the same? Do you think they're going to get better? Do you think they have a chance to throw in the Nets in the East or even the Bucks?
First of all, Mike, I'm sorry for the Sixers fans. No, Sixers had no choice but to supermax Embiid, but they just blew their shot at a title. As great as Joel Embiid, we all know he hasn't exactly been an Iron Man of any sort during his time in the Sixers, and we all know he's always been injured. I know almost $200 million is a lot of money, but again, the Sixers had no choice but to sign him up. But Embiid has only played more than 60 games just twice in 5 seasons. We all know that he is a warrior. Last year he played with a teared meniscus. But if you look at that, if he stays healthy in those 4 years, and with the support team of the Sixers, they may be able to be a contender with this team. But if he continues to be injured as he played in the previous years, then it's going to be trouble for the Sixers. So I think he needs to stay healthy and really deliver for the Sixers. And also, if he gets to be in his MVP caliber as he did before, then Sixers have a chance, especially if Simmons stays or he leaves. There's another player who would replace Lillard. Would be a great fit for Embiid if that happens, right? So
that'd be interesting.
We'll see if Simmons is going to stay with the Sixers or not. But I'm hoping for Embiid to stay healthy throughout the 4-year extension of his career with the Sixers.
Yeah, well, I think it's safe to say that he was totally dominant in the playoffs. I mean, he just didn't really have help coming through. So we'll see what Philadelphia does to build around him and see if they can get over the hump. So with that being said, of course, our show would not be complete without our question of the week. And so with this show centered around sports, we have to ask you guys, if you could be any current pro athlete's teammate, who would it be and why? So we're going to go ahead and go around the horn. I'll go first. I can't say no to Tom Brady. I have to be his number one receiver. So I see myself like that number one slot guy catching all his passes in the Super Bowl. Albert, how about you?
I'm going to go with a current rising star in Shohei Ohtani. The fact that, he is playing both sides of the field, seeing him on the mound every 4 or 5 days, doing what he does, and then all the bombs that he's doing. What other seat can you get aside from the dugout and seeing at least right now those 40 home runs from Shohei Ohtani? So definitely him in my books.
What position are you playing?
Give me Water Boy. I just want to watch Shohei.
There you go. Love it. EJ, how about you, man?
Oh, for me, man, I'm going to go with the most fun player in the NBA right now, and I'd say that's Giannis Antetokounmpo, man. I mean, his personality is just hilarious. The guy is funny without even trying, and, he struggles from the free throw line. If I was his teammate, I could give a little bit more points to them through the free throw line. But
you'd have open threes, that's for sure.
There you go, and open threes, exactly. And afterwards, we could go to Chick-fil-A and celebrate with 50-piece, 50-piece chicken fitty.
There we go. I love it. And how about you, Ben?
I was actually thinking of Tom Brady being a wide receiver as well, but you already have it.
We can be teammates too, man.
That's going to be great. I'm also looking at being a teammate of Steph Curry and bringing another championship for the Warriors.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah, imagine just going to practice every day, just seeing Steph just putting up shots, and he's just not.
Especially with Klay Thompson still questionable. Probably I'll be.
Oh, there you go. Get a call, man. You can hit
The
those
third Splash Brothers.
Definitely. Well, hey, thanks guys for joining us tonight. That's all the time we have for this week's episode. On behalf of everyone of our panel, thank you so much for joining us, and be sure to tune in again next week. Make sure to visit our websites at eaglenews.net and eaglenewslive.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter at EagleNewsPH to join the conversation. For EBC Sports International, I'm Michael Hudson. We live in interesting times.